U5, racism, Reconstruction, black code, sharecropping. But first, let's talk about racism. A lot of people watching this video, or a lot of uninformed, misinformed, uneducated, or sometimes just malevolently deceiving people, believe that racism led to slavery. It's the other way around. Slavery led to the idea, the creation, the concept, the theory, the belief of racism. Slavery, then racism. Because with slavery all over the world, slavery has existed forever. Why slavery? Because one people conquered another people and they put them into slavery. They conquered them. They didn't conquer them because of, oh, you have the wrong color skin, let's conquer you and put you into slavery. No, they conquered, took their land and put them into slavery. Or, hey, I want you to work for free for me. Slavery. It really isn't about racism. Racism comes next. If you don't believe me, and you're like, no, I'm pretty sure slavery and racism, it's a thing. Let's think about this way. Let's say you're a racist. No, let's not say that. So let's just envision a racist slave owner that hates black people, okay? That's what your idea normally is. Plantation owner, yeah, they're racist. Okay, I'll give you that. The plantation owner is racist. So let's live through the mind of that plantation owner. He's racist. He hates black people. So you believe that this racist person would finance a ship to sail all the way across the Atlantic Ocean. Then they would kidnap black people, of which the owner hates. So the owner, the slave owner, the racist, is going to send a ship to Africa. He's going to kidnap some black people. He's going to bring them all the way back across the ocean and then live with them. That doesn't make any sense at all. If slavery was about racism, why would a racist go get the people that he hates and forcefully make them live with him? That doesn't make any sense. Why would he do that if he were a racist? The reason the slave owner and slavery existed was not because of racism. It was because they needed someone to pick cotton. They needed free labor. They didn't round up slaves because they hated black people. They rounded up slaves because they needed free labor, and they would have taken whoever they could. And in this case, it was black people, unfortunately. So racism did not cause slavery. It's the other way around. It's going to be a big part of understanding Reconstruction. Oppression or slavery led to racism. Like, no, that doesn't make any sense. People are racist. That's why they enslaved. No, they enslaved people. Then they needed a reason to justify it. It is not this way. So racism causes slavery? No. I think you're inferior, so I oppress you? No. It's not like I hate those people. Let's go put them as slaves. Okay, you hate those people, and now you're going to go make them work with you every day. You're going to spend all of your life around the people that you hate. That doesn't make sense. It's got to be the other way around. They enslave people. And through enslaving them, they then later have to justify this. Like, wait, why are you my slave? Why are you working for me? Why do you have less rights? Why do I get to boss you around? Well, you must be inferior. The reason why I'm allowed to do this, how can I justify it? Well, you must be inferior. You are less than me. The reason I can continue to get away with this, so imagine it's 1780, 1790, 1800, 1810, and everyone's like, wait, why do you have slaves? Why are you taking these people's rights away? Why do they work for you? Why are they being tortured and beaten by you? Because they're less than me. That's what the slave owner says. He comes up with a lie to justify his slavery, and that lie is racism. And boom, pow, bang, we've now created the idea of racism, and through the 1780s, 1790s, 1800s, 1810s, 1820s, 1830s, 1840s, 1850s, so basically 80 years of slavery, we create the idea, the concept, the belief of racism to justify the slavery. It wasn't racism leading to us hunting down and making people work for free. That's not the way it worked. It was they made people work for free, and then as the country said, I don't think we should be doing this. I don't know. We're supposed to be treated equal. As people began to question this practice, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, 70, 80 years of America, the slave owners, the slave power, the elites in the South had to find a way to justify how they could have human chattel or chattel slavery, how they could have human beings in bondage, how they could take away the rights and break up families and sell people like they were property. How can you justify that? You have to create some way to make it work. And the way they made it work was, well, they're less than me. They're not as equal as me. They're not as strong. They're not as smart. That is racism. So the oppression led to the idea of racism. Now you've got this idea of racism that's existed for all of American history up until the Civil War. It's ingrained in the minds of people. It is not natural. It is not a natural state of things. People are not naturally racist. People do not naturally think that some groups are less than them. It was created. It was created as a way to justify these horrible actions. But as long as it keeps getting perpetuated year after year after year, it becomes a large part of American history. That doesn't mean it can't be erased. That doesn't mean it's going to be here forever. And so that is where we are. The Civil War is over. We now have to take this idea that we've been forced to accept because we had to find some way to understand why human beings were being held in slavery. Well, now that they're not in slavery anymore, we no longer have to accept that idea. Now that the slavery thing is gone, the oppression is gone, we don't have to justify anymore. We don't need to come up with some idea that explains why some people are free and why some people are not. So since we don't have to do that, let's just get rid of it. Well, it's easy to rationally understand that today. Well, at least it's easy for some people today to rationally and logically understand how this works. Some people are motivated by emotions. Some people are motivated by feelings. Some people are motivated by what ought to be as opposed to what is. And they can't see straight, can't see things clearly. And when change comes, they don't understand it. And so you have to reprogram people to abandon this idea that's always been the way that it was. Here's Frederick Douglass telling you, it was not color, but crime, not God, but man, that afforded the true explanation of the existence of slavery. Here it is. He's telling you right here what I have said, what should be common sense to American citizens today. This should be taught to all students, but it's not. You are typically told, so here's your red pill moment. Students are told that, oh yeah, they're racist. That's why we have slavery. That's not what happened. And I explained that to you, and I showed it to you. And here's Frederick Douglass 150 years ago telling you. He is direct. I mean, this is a former slave telling you, no, it wasn't racism that led to slavery. Man created slavery. Man created slavery to make money. They needed someone to pick the cotton. Unfortunately, it happened to be the people from Africa, so it was us. But it wasn't racism leading to hunting down and forcing people into labor. And it wasn't by God. God didn't make people this way. God didn't decide it. Man decided to enslave these people, and man can decide to stop enslaving people, just as man can decide to stop being racist. Here it is, him telling us, why is this not in your history book? Why are you not told this? Why instead is it constantly perpetuated in the news, by your teachers, and in the public that, oh, it's racism. That's why we had slavery, and that's why we have all these problems. No, it's the other way around. You got to start seeing these things. You got to start seeing how it really is. So here it is. I mean, he's saying that it did not cause this. Racism did not cause the oppression. It was not color. It was not by God. Slavery is not natural. Racism is not natural. We created it. And if we created it, if it is man-made, if man started it, then man can stop it. If man can start slavery, he can stop slavery. And if man can start the idea of racism and create it out of thin air, no science, no biblical or godlike backing of this, just make it up, then man can stop it. And that's what Reconstruction is going to be about. And that is a really hard task. You say, well, it's easy. Just stop being racist. It is easy. But we're talking about 80 years of America being told this over and over and over and over. You can see not racism today, but the crazy ideas that people consume and believe today. Now imagine getting them to stop believing and consuming these insane ideas that are not based on the Enlightenment. They're not based on rational thinking. They're not based on science. It's hard to prove an argument is wrong, or it's hard to kill a belief that is not based on facts. When people believe in things that are imaginary, when people believe in things that are fantastic, how do you prove them wrong? Because they got to that conclusion without rational thinking. They got there without evidence. So it doesn't matter what evidence you provide. It doesn't matter what kind of scientific reasoning and rational thinking you provide. It's not going to change their mind because it's all emotional. So here we are. We're going to try to do the Reconstruction, which is like, look, this is going to be the American government that's going to unmake slavery, which they can do by law. They can unmake slavery. But changing hearts and minds, very difficult. Very difficult then, very difficult today, and very difficult forever. It is one thing for one human being to change the heart and mind of another human being, to change someone's beliefs and persuade them and to show them the light, as I just explained it to you. Evidence does not necessarily matter to emotional thinkers. Evidence doesn't matter when people are dug in the sand and know how things should be. It's hard to persuade. You got to go some full Dale Carnegie on people. But it's another thing for the government to do this to citizens. It's one thing to convince your friends, your pals, your family, or your neighbor. It's another thing when big old government's going to change the minds of an entire nation. How do you think this is going to work out? Big old government going to roll in and say, hey, all you peoples, you need to start thinking differently. Probably not going to work out very well. So Reconstruction is 1865 to 1877, North, South, going to transform the South following a civil war, a total war. William Tecumseh Sherman burning down Atlanta, they're burning down Richmond. They fought a war in this area. So the easy part is physically fixing it. The physical transformation of the South isn't really going to be that big of a deal. Go spend some money, put in the work, you can build up the city. And that still is not a problem today when America blows up all the other cities that we're going to blow up through all of the modern wars. Fixing the city, we can do that. Take a couple engineers, spend some money, we can rebuild. But the mental part is a lot more challenging. And this is the tough part of Reconstruction. Retraining the brains, the mindsets, the beliefs of an entire nation. We're not talking about changing a couple people, an entire nation saying, oh, this is the way you were living. This is the way you're going to live now. That's a difficult task, and it should be no surprise that they fail at doing this. We would fail today, and we have failed today. See the Middle East, where we're going to spread democracy and change the hearts and minds. See Vietnam. You name the nation. Our track record of going to another nation, which basically the South was, and reprogramming the people, not very good. It doesn't work out very well too often. I mean, it's one thing also to envision this as, well, we're just trying to teach them to love America again and believe in the character traits and the values of America, and we're just trying to teach them to read and write. That's all we got to do. One, reprogram the ex-Confederates and the white people. But two, you need to teach the slaves how to read and write. On the surface, that surface level, elementary, easy version of Reconstruction, that doesn't sound very difficult. You can get the white Americans to buy back into Reconstruction, and you can teach the slaves how to read and write. Yes, you can. But that's the third grade teaching of Reconstruction, which is important to give you the base foundation to understand the Civil War and Reconstruction and moving forward. And it does give you the exceptional view of American history, which is important. It's good that we know this basic information so we can communicate between students and between Americans and have a general understanding. But once we start to dig a little deeper and look underneath and see what really is in there, there's a little bit more to this Reconstruction plan than just teaching people how to read so they can have economic mobility. We're getting to brainwashing people. Wait, oh, here we go. Of course we are going to go into this. This is what the government is going to do. They're not just teaching kids how to read and write. They are brainwashing people. We are reprogramming not just the white Southern slave owners and pro-slavery people, but we're also going to reprogram the slaves. The slaves' lives are going to be completely different. They're going from slavery to free people. And you're going to want to read Renegade History to get a really deep understanding of what exactly happens. A really good chapter on this of what the other version of Reconstruction. Reconstruction failed. And from this perspective that I'm going to show you, from the Renegade History perspective by Thaddeus Russell, it's really not a bad thing that it failed. It's not just simply, here's how you read, here's how you do math, this is great. No. The American government doing what the American government does with their American government schools and their American government textbook says, no, we got a great opportunity here. This isn't just about rebuilding some buildings. This isn't just about, helping some people not be racist. We can really go clean slate and start over and create the perfect Americans. And so what they will tell these ex-slaves that they're trying to reprogram, rebuild, they're going to tell them a whole bunch of things. They're going to say, you got to be clean, which, oh, well, whatever. You got to work hard every day, 12 hours a day. Don't complain about your work. Go to church, no alcohol, no smoking, no dancing. Eat simple, dress simple, save your money, no pleasure, one wife. You name it. Like, wait a second, wait. They're just teaching them how to read and write. They're just teaching them how to do math. My third grade teacher told me this is Reconstruction, helping them read. They got these schools, and then, no. You think that the government was just going to, here's how you read and write, and then say, see you later. No, that's not the way it works. This isn't just character traits, and here's how you be respectful. No. We need you to work hard like everybody else. We want you to be like the people in the North that are working 14 hours a day, nonstop, getting nothing, that are miserable. And you're going to be miserable too. You thought slavery was bad. It was bad, but being free is bad as well. You are free. You are free to work every day and never complain and don't do anything crazy and stay in line. Stay in line, stay in your lane, don't complain, and we're going to train you. This is what it's like to be free. This is how you get to be free. So, what? So we'll pick this up in the next video. That's an alternative version of Reconstruction. We're going to slide back into the regular version of Reconstruction where it's, well, we're just going to help the people out and we're going to stop racism. And we'll get back into that base knowledge version here in a second in video 2 of Reconstruction.